back to the Tyre Recycling Podcast and to episode 33 of our podcast series. Today we have an extra special episode in store, and we hope that our viewers will enjoy this one just as much as the others. To guide us through what we have in store for today, I'm pleased to welcome back the editor of Tyre and Rubber Recycling, Ewan Scott. Hi there, Ewan. So could you tell us what we have planned for today's episode?
Today we're pleased to be able to introduce a special progress report from the BlackCycle Project. BlackCycle is one of the R&D research and development and innovation projects funded by the European Commission under the EU's Horizon 2020 research programme to implement the concept of the circular economy to end-of-life tyres at a European level. The BlackCycle Project has an upcycling ambition targeting the creation of a circular economy of the end-of-life tyres into technical applications within the tyre industry by producing highly technical secondary raw materials, SRMs, from ELTs. These SRMs will be used to develop new ranges of passenger car and truck tyres, which will be sold commercially in Europe and globally. The BlackCycle Project Consortium is formed by 12 partners from 5 different countries: Orion, Eneris, Qantas, Icamsil, Aliapur, CSIC, CPERI, CERTH, Sisina, Pyrum, Estato, Hera, and Accelera, and led by the French world leader in tyre manufacturing, Michelin.
Yeah, that's certainly a lot of partners and a lot of different people involved in the project, Ewan. So, I'm very excited to hear more about this interview. Could you tell us who are the key protagonists in today's interview?
We'll be interviewing Celso Magri, Global Marketing Director from Orion, one of the world's leading carbon black producers, and Ramon Murillo from Spain's research body, CSIC.
Fantastic. Well, I'm sure our listeners and viewers will be interested to hear less from us and more from Celso and Ramon. So let's begin by jumping over to that interview and your first questions for our guest from Orion, Celso Magri.
Today, we're able to welcome representatives from 2 members of the BlackCycle Consortium, the leading global producer of carbon black, Orion Engineered Carbons, and the Spanish environmental research group, CSIC. So let's begin by introducing our guest from Orion, Celso Magri, who's the company's Global Marketing and Sustainability Director. Good morning, Celso, and welcome to the Tyre Recycling Podcast.
Good morning, Ewan.
Morning. So initially, I'm sure there will be an immense interest in the BlackCycle project from recyclers and pyrolysis specialists. Can you tell us where the project currently stands?
Sure. So BlackCycle consists of the whole tire circular value chain comprising of 12 partners. And they are coordinated by Michelin and 7 industrial partners, 5 R&D organizations, and 2 European consortium across 5 countries. So from ELTs collection over shredding, pyrolysis to industrial partners, enhancement of TPO, carbon black production, and development of sustainable resins to the production of tires. The project began May 2020, and we are now roughly halfway through. We have already progressed a lot and achieved some key milestones. For example, we had analyzed a big number of recycled oil samples, TPOs based on a wide variety of pyrolysis process conditions, different ELT feedstocks, and distillation methods. Our partners are learning how to separate different tire parts to increasing the resulting TPO quality and to achieve better use for limonene production or sustainable resins. We as Orion were successful in a real production of a sustainable ASTM tire grade, which is currently being analyzed and produced by Michelin to produce a sustainable tire. There is still some way to go, particularly to improve the economics of the whole value chain and to evaluate the true environmental impact. That means by LCA over the circular value chain.
Okay, I'm going to add a supplementary question here. You mentioned ASTM grades for sustainable carbon black. So are you saying that you should be able to produce a sustainable carbon black that has an equivalency to an existing ASTM grade?
Precisely, yes. So that was actually a major milestone for us, because it is much easier for the implementation if you have a drop-in solution that exactly matches an ASTM grade. And this is what we achieved.
That is great news for the industry, because it has always been, pyrolysis people have always been very vague about where their recovered carbon black sits.
Yes.
And when I speak to experts who are not pyrolysis people, but who analyse the products, they've always said that they never meet the standards that they claim to meet. So if you've managed to do that, then that's a great step forwards. Okay, so does the development of sustainable carbon black from TPO make a real difference to the market?
Yeah, definitely, yes. And this is very in line with what you just said, is that even after 2 decades of R&D worldwide, premium RCBs over the recovered carbon blacks that people have been testing can only replace carbon blacks in applications requiring lower reinforcing levels, particularly some of the so-called soft blacks. So this is more or less the area, right? So a higher filler reinforcement is required to meet demanding rubber properties like stiffness, as well as tear and wear resistance for several applications like bead and steel adhesion, compounds in tires, and also truck treads that need to be very tough. So in this case, there is currently no alternative to virgin carbon black coming from a furnace process. So within the BlackCycle project, we have demonstrated that we can not only produce such grades with 100% TPO, but they are also drop-in solutions so that they can enable a complete transition out of fossil fuels for carbon black production in the future.
Okay. So why is sustainable carbon black so important to Orion?
Well, for us, of course, if you at Orion, right? So we want to enable a transition out of fossil fuels, right? So sustainability is an integral part of our strategy. So beyond all of our corporate initiatives to improve sustainability, our goal for us in the business, in the rubber business, is to gradually make that transition, right, over time. And this is where the whole value chain is aiming to by 2050. So as mentioned, the recovered carbon blacks can only replace part of this carbon blacks. So we are the major carbon black producer to develop and commercially launch a carbon black made from 100% renewable materials. That was already a key milestone 10 years ago. So we already launching the third product. However, we know that those renewable carbons have some limitations, right, in terms of structure, some of the properties, so they can play a certain role. The recovered carbon blacks another role. So this is here a unique opportunity for us and for the industry to cover the other part that is not covered yet. And on top of it, it helps address another issue, which is tire waste, right? So sustainable carbon blacks made from ELT pyrolysis oil, they are key to complement our product offering and enable us and the whole industry to gradually move away from fossil fuels towards a circular economy. So that's why it's so critical.
Yeah. So I'm going to move on to the sort of final question. Where does Orion position itself with regards to social responsibility and sustainability in the total market?
Yes, well, a few years ago, we started to position our environmental, social, and governance, our ESG topics that are relevant and material to Orion and its key stakeholders in our sustainability report. So we've been doing that now year after year. There, we also outline our sustainability strategy that embeds our key sustainability initiatives into Orion's corporate strategy. We have grouped those material topics in the following 4 themes. So sustainable growth, compliance, living our values, and value chain engagement. We are committed to growing our business profitably with a minimal environmental footprint to ensure sustainable returns to our stakeholders on an ongoing basis. Compliance is about being responsible and adhering to operating standards set out in the applicable laws, regulations, and our policies. We are committed to a diverse, fair, and inclusive culture with equal opportunity for all, and being a contributing member to our host communities. We believe that our sustainability performance is only as good as the standards set out by the weakest link in our value chain, so which are suppliers. So we are committed to working with our suppliers to enhance their ESG performance. And finally, probably you saw an announcement from our CEO. We recently signed the UN Global Compact. So this is the world's largest corporate sustainability initiative. The compact calls on companies to align strategies and operations with universal principles on human rights, labor, anti-corruption, and the environment. The Pact's mission is to mobilize a global movement of sustainable companies and stakeholders to create the world we want.
Okay, thank you very much for that. Is there anything else that you want to add that we haven't covered?
Oh, I think the whole project is very important for us, for the environment, and for, of course, for Europe, right? So we are going to tackle issues with tire waste, which is a mounting problem worldwide, and in Europe, since we are restricted, it is very important. And then I think it is not only about creating technical solutions, but creating viable commercial solutions for that transition. So I am very glad to be part of it. And so I think
okay.
that's the message.
Thank you very much for your time today, Celso.
Thank you.
We're going to move on to our second interviewee, who is Ramon Murillo, who is a scientific researcher at CSIC and leader of the Environmental Research Group. Welcome, Ramon. And can you please give us some background to what CSIC does as an organization?
Yes, of course. The Spanish Council for Scientific Research, or CSIC, is the largest research organization in Spain. It is similar to other research organizations in Europe, like, for example, CNRS in France or Max Planck Institute in Germany. It is a public body with approximately 15,000 employees, and it is divided into 120 institutes, covering different research areas. So different like biology, chemistry, physics, mathematics, economy, or even history. Concretely, I am the head of the Environmental Research Group that belongs to the so-called Instituto de Carboquímica, or ICB, where we mainly work in new processes and materials for contributing to a sustainable development and circular economy.
Okay, so we understand that CISC's main involvement in the BlackCycle project revolves around the optimization of waste tar pyrolysis, large-scale production, and distillation of pyrolytic oil. Could you expand on this for us, please?
Yes, as you said, we are mainly involved in 2 different aspects within within BlackCycle project. First, we are the leaders of work package number 5, that it is devoted to the optimization of pyrolysis process. Also, at At ICB, we have a TRL5 pilot plant based on OGR technology, where we can pyrolyze up to 10 kilograms per hour continuously of waste tire. Well, in this pilot plant, we have tested many experimental conditions, always trying to find the optimum ones for maximizing the pyrolytic oil production that will be later used in the production of sustainable carbon black. At the same time, we also try to find suitable conditions to achieve a high yield of limonene. That is a high value-added product commonly obtained in waste tire pyrolysis. Well, as you said, our second main contribution in BlackCycle Project comprises the design, erection, and operation of a TRL5 distillation column to treat the pyrolytic oil obtained during pyrolysis. In this way, the pyrolytic oil is refined to achieve the quality requirements imposed by the sustainable carbon black production process. Finally, we also researched how to concentrate in limonene a light fraction produced after the pyrolytic oil distillation. This new product is later used by other partners for the synthesis of sustainable resins useful in the manufacturing of new tires.
Okay. In what way has CISC been able to improve or optimize the production of TPO?
During the last 2 years, we have performed a wide experimental campaign pyrolyzing different waste tire samples under different conditions. In this way, we have been able to find the optimum conditions to maximize the pyrolytic oil production, and also at the same time, we have improved the limonene yield that has achieved a concentration certainly close to 5% in weight. These optimum conditions allow us to produce a pyrolytic carbon black, also called recovered carbon black, with a very low volatile matter content. That is a parameter that limits the further application for this byproduct. Also, in addition, it is important to highlight that these optimum conditions were tested by one of the industrial partners in BlackCycle, obtaining pretty similar results in a larger pyrolysis plant, demonstrating the process scalability.
Okay, so all this research, will this technology be transferable within the industry, or will it be retained solely for BlackCycle participants?
Yes, in my opinion, this technology is absolutely transferable to the industrial sector. In fact, one of the industrial partners in BlackCycle owns a full-scale plant based on this technology. Well, moreover, the TRL5 distillation column that has been implemented at ICB has been also used for the design and erection of a TRL7 column by one of the BlackCycle industrial partners. Therefore, there is a continuous information flow between the academic and industrial partners that obviously facilitates the technology transfer.
Okay, now this last one, it might seem rather obvious to people who are in the industry, who are doing the research, but can you highlight the differences between recovered carbon black and sustainable carbon black?
Yes, of course. First, I have to say that both carbon blacks are reinforcing fillers that can be used in rubber production. However, the sustainable carbon black has a higher quality and performance similar to the ASTM carbon black currently used in the manufacturing of new tires. At the end of the day, the recovered carbon black is a mixture of different products, including inorganic materials, carbonaceous material coming from the possible incomplete degradation of rubber, and of course, a mixture of different carbon blacks with different qualities, of course. Therefore, the performance of this material is not as good, as the performance of the synthetic carbon black or even the sustainable carbon black. That, of course, are carefully designed and produced to be used for specific and very exigent applications. Anyway, this product can have a market, and the challenge now is to develop it.
Okay, now I've got one final question for both of you. Either of you or both of you can respond. You've both mentioned limonene. Now, I understand that limonene is a high value material that can be extracted from tires. Can you tell tell us a little bit more about limonene and what its uses are.
Well, I can try to answer a little bit. Yeah, limonene is a terpene, chemically is a terpene that has the ability to be polymerized. So that's very important because you know that for rubber compounding and the production of waste tires, many different compounds are included. So one of them are the resins, are resins, sorry. So if part of the waste tires can be used again as resins, that's very important to try to achieve the circular economy that it is pursued during this project execution. Limonene is also a natural product that can be produced from different sources, but it is important to say that there could be some kind of competence between the food industry and, in this case, the tire manufacturing industry. So if we are able to recycle the limonene that it is inside the natural rubber, so that's great news. Great.
Okay, thank you very much for that. I have heard some presentations on limonene before, but I'm not a chemist. I'm not a scientist, so I just liked a little bit of clarification there. So thank you both very much.
So welcome back to the Tyre Recycling Podcast. That was our interview with Celso Magri and Ramon Murillo. Ewan, the BlackCycle Project, has had a lot of PR in the tyre sector, and it could easily be seen as a game changer in the industry. What do you see as the main market developments and market changes that are arising from this project?
I think the key takeaway from this, if you like, is that to be fair, BlackCycle is not the first project that has done this, but they have characterized and developed sustainable recovered carbon black from tire pyrolysis oil. Now, as I say, others have done this. Boulder Industries in the States have done it, but here we have a tire manufacturer-led consortium looking at this, setting the specification, characterizing it with a carbon black manufacturer. And we have the carbon black manufacturer saying this material is not just similar to, but equivalent to an ASTM grade. And that has always been the failing of recovered carbon black, because it was never specified. Each manufacturer would say, oh, it's in the region of NM330 or whatever. But the reality was it was quite a big region it was in. The key here is that with sustainable carbon blacks, in this project led by Michelin, a tire manufacturer, and Orion, the carbon black manufacturer, they have come to an agreement, and they have developed something that will match ASTM grades. That is the key takeaway from this. So they're using tire pyrolysis oil as a raw material instead of virgin oil. So they're not using fossil fuels directly, because obviously at the moment the oil that's in tires comes from fossil fuels. But this is a step down the road of towards a more sustainable tire. So that was a key point. And the other thing is that the research that Ramon Murillo is doing, CSIC, is trying to refine things to get the best out of the tires. So he alluded to dealing with the tyres in different ways, which we can presume means dealing with the tread separately from the sidewall, separately from the carcass. So there's in doing that, they're creating more specified background to build on.
Absolutely. Well, I'm sure our viewers will be interested to see and hear more from the BlackCycle project in due course. We will certainly be back talking to them once they have further updates for us. But for now, that concludes this episode of the Tyre Recycling Podcast. Thanks for joining us today, and please stay safe.